Welcome to Possibilities.
Possibilities is a program that showcases the talent of persons with disabilities.
It's not the body that does it, but the brain that does it.
Possibility.
Possibilities.
Possibility.
Possibilities.
Possibility.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Possibilities. My name is Dixon Chanongo. On the program today, we have wonderful guests in our midst. We have Mr. Muyiwa Timothy. Muyiwa Timothy is a special guest, special among the special guests. He is somebody with hearing impairment, and that's the reason you could see an interpreter sitting close to Mr. Muyiwa Timothy. Our interpreter, Deborah Dagana, will be helping us with the interpretation of the language of the deaf. It's going to be a sit-tight program because Muyiwa is such a very special person, and our interaction with him will interest you that the deaf can speak with their hands. You are welcome, Mr. Muyiwa.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Muyiwa, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Like he has already mentioned about my name, I am Mr. Afolayan Muyiwa Timothy. I am deaf, but I was not born as a deaf. I'm just like every other person. So as fact we have it, I became deaf. So I am also working with the government.
Okay. Mr. Muyiwa, can you tell us what happened? Were you born with deafness, or it happened as a result of an accident or illness? What actually went wrong?
I was not born deaf. I was born just like any other human being. Made perfect, wonderfully and fearfully made by God.
Oh, yes.
But later in life, I fell sick. And when I was healed, I found out that I can't hear anymore.
How old were you when this incident happened?
I was around 14 and 15 years old then.
Wow, that could be very challenging. Yes, Mr. Muyiwa, how was your new experience like?
It was not that easy. You will still have the same friends, but you cannot really go along anymore. And the friend might think that you are like the same person before. So for them to adjust to my change is not easy. For me to adjust to what I was before is not easy. However, I lost a lot of friends. Not just one, but I made new friends. As you know, life has to continue.
Wow. Mr. Muyiwa, you are an educated person. You had masters in education. How were you able to pass through school being someone with hearing impairment? How was that possible? Because you seems to be very different. We have many hearing impaired persons begging on the streets everywhere. You choose education. How was your experience?
The experience varies from one person to another. I will first say that family involvement matters a lot. When I became deaf, my parents did not know if there was a school, school for the deaf. So I could not cope with the hearing schools because I could not hear what the teacher was saying. So I had to stay at home. What brought me out was that anytime, anywhere I find myself, I will see books, whatever book it is, even if it is Bible, whatever it is, I always read the material. I would just, keep on reading and reading and reading books. Whatever I see is what I read. That made my parents know that I still want to go to school. So they looked for school for me, and I continue with my education. That is why I said it depends on the family. That's number one. Also, the deaf as a person too. If I have decided to just walk about the street, they will not notice my needs. So it has to do with interest, passion that made me different.
Interesting. Mr. Muyiwa, are you a professional teacher? Because at last you have an NCE and you are now a master's, you have master's in education. So are you in educational profession or are you doing something else?
I'm a professional teacher and an educationist. I used to teach English, and I also prepare deaf children for WAEC exams for 17 years.
Oh, he has been teaching
now,
for 7 years?
before I left school to work with a Ministry of Education.
Wow. So tell me more. You teach the deaf children only, or you can teach anybody that wants to learn English?
I teach the deaf children as full-time job, but I teach the hearing children that are preparing for WAEC as home lesson, and most of them usually make English.
Muyiwa, can you teach me in English? I don't know sign language. Can you teach me in English?
I can teach you English. One thing I want you to know is that I can speak, but I cannot hear. If I decide to speak now, it will be difficult for people to believe that I am deaf. So, argument will start. So if I speak right now, my voice will be clear. So it's common belief that deaf can't speak. So I decided to use interpreters because that is my language, to use hand. Since I cannot hear or I cannot voice, but I can see my hands, so decided to use.
What is the name for the language of the deaf? How do you call it?
We call it sign language.
Sign language. Very good. Mr. Muyiwa, have you ever encountered discrimination as a result of your deafness?
It will always happen. I faced a lot of discrimination when I was growing up, in schools, amongst my friends, in my working place. But my standing, believing in myself, and facing my discriminators. That's people that discriminated
Very
me.
well, I had this.
That I am human being. If you want to discriminate against me, sit for exam with me. Sit examination with me first. If I beat you, then you are disabled.
Nice challenge there. I've been talking with Mr. Muyiwa Timothy. Muyiwa is physically a hearing impaired person with disability. We'll be taking a short break now, and when we resume, Muyiwa will be telling us more about himself and talking to persons with disabilities who are out there begging. Muyiwa is here to tell you that you can be whatever you want to be. We will be back. Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Possibilities. My guest has been Mr. Timothy Muyiwa. Muyiwa is hearing impaired persons with disabilities, and he has been talking about how best to integrate persons with disabilities. Mr. Muyiwa, you are welcome. Muyiwa,
Thank you.
could you talk to persons with disabilities who are out there, in particular those with hearing aids who go about begging for alms? What message do you have for those out there who may want to be like you?
Truly, we are all made with talent. Everyone has his or her own talent. I will want them to first know that their deafness is not an excuse to be begging around. It is not an excuse to say they have failed. Because when there is life, then there is hope. It is only the dead that can say, I have failed. As long as he or she breathes, he or she has to strive to be the best that he or she can be. He or she should know that begging is not a job. It is not something that he or she can do and can tell his or her children that who are in school that or the children can say the profession of my father is begging. So he or she should know that he will be ashamed of it, and the children will be ashamed of it too. So therefore, he or she should go to school. If not, go and learn a skill. Be somebody. Contribute to the development of the society in whatever capacity they can. Except begging. Because begging contributes nothing to the society. If you repair shoes, you are helping the country to develop. You will collect money and you will spend it wisely. It is economic circulation. If you repair wristwatch, you are doing something. So you should try to have a skill that is good at.
Wow. Mr. Muyiwa, what advice do you have for the government and the society on the proper integration of persons with disabilities?
The government alone cannot do it. But there should be collaboration of the government, the parents, and NGOs, CSOs, and other organizations to combine efforts at lifting disabled people off the street through gathering them together, asking them individually what do they want? What do they want to be? Do you want to go to school? If they want to go to school, support them. As the government always say, education is free. Fine, let them go to school and get free education. If you want to learn a skill, send them to learn the skill. So by doing so, we'll get off the disabled people off the streets.
Muyiwa, tell me, if you have an opportunity of sitting side by side with Mr. President, what is that request you will make from Mr. President to grant persons with disabilities?
If I have that opportunity tonight, the first thing I will tell him is that disability is a pre-issues in life that comes before death. No, if one escapes disability, you cannot escape the death. If you escape death, you will be disabled. So, I will want to request that Mr. President should please make effort to push National House of Assembly to pass our disability bill to him so that he can assent it. Because everyone, if not at young, if not by retirement age, but by old age, they will become disabled and they will also benefit from the bill. It is everyone that is able should know that if they support this disability bill, they are supporting their future.
Mr. Muyiwa, how do you relax? How do you enjoy your holidays, your free time?
I relax by reading, sometimes visit friends, to chat with them. Hello.
Muyiwa, thank you very much for coming on the program. And we hope that when next we invite you, you make yourself available to speak to Nigerians, to speak to persons with disabilities, and encourage them to be like you, if not better. Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure and an honor talking to you. It has been a very wonderful discussion with Mr. Muyiwa, and this is where we draw the curtain for today's program. Keep watching, same station, same time next week. Thank you. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Possibilities. I've been talking with Abubakar. Abubakar is personal assistant to the chairman of AMAC. Mr. Abubakar, you are welcome once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know the bill for disability rights has been passed and will soon be sent to Mr. President for assent. And I know you actively participated in that bill. At the political side, political party level, how do you intend to prioritize on the on the APC as a party to ginger Mr. President, to encourage Mr. President to sign that bill into law at the time it is passed to his table? What are the plans?
My plan is just have to advocate to our national chairman or executives of APC, not state, because we have to talk to Mr. President to accelerate our bill.
Do you see Mr. President signing the bill?
Definitely, he will sign the bill.
Why are you so sure?
Well, if I remember during his campaign, we were in Nasarawa State. He promised us if he is elected to the president of Nigeria, definitely he will sign our bill. And we thank God now, our bill is on his table. I know Mr. President will sign, because if he promised, I know he cannot fail our promise.
You are so sure, Mr. Abubakar?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Because I interacted with a lot of people, especially party escorts, those that I'm very close to them. And they have been talking to him about the bill. And he promised that immediately the bill put on his table, he would assent it for us.
Let's keep our fingers crossed, because we do hope Mr. President will actually sign the bill when it's sent to him for a presidential assent.
Yeah.
Mr. Abubakar, so much has been happening in the society, discrimination among in the church, in the mosque, the environment is not accessible. If you are to have an opportunity of talking to Mr. President to do one thing for persons with disabilities, what is that thing do you think is the most important to promote the rights and social welfare of persons with disabilities?
First, if I meet Mr. President one-to-one, my first appeal to him is our education.
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 Okay.
Free education to people with disability. Health to people with disability, and accessibility to public buildings. Because that is where we are facing a lot of problems. A person with disability, if you go to bank to take the money from an ATM, it will take you a lot of time. If you go to the hospital, deaf people, to talk to the doctor is a problem. So my first, appeal to President is education, free education, health free to people with disability, even with our children.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And finally, before you go, what are your hobbies? What do you love doing at your leisure time?
Well, reading.
What kind of
watching TV, and reading my holy book.
That is the Quran. Mr. Abubakar, you are highly welcome to the platform, to Possibilities. We wish you well in your political adventures, and we hope that when next we call upon you, you'll be available to talk to Possibilities and encourage many young men who are out there seeing you as a model. You are welcome, and we would like to have you whenever we call upon you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've been talking with Mr. Abubakar Shahu, who is a special assistant to the chairman of AMAC. And this is where we draw the curtain. Keep watching Possibilities. Same time, same station. Thank you.